Hi, Liz.
Hello.
Good morning to you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. I understand that you're in New York and I am in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Well, I have been there, by the way, many years ago. Yes, I
Really?
have.
When was that?
It was when I was in college and I was going on a round the world trip with my aunt. And we were
Ooh.
visiting all kinds of, it was a stopover. We didn't stay long. I think we were there 2 days or something, but I remember it fondly. It was a beautiful
Mm.
place to be.
Thank you. Thank you. I haven't been to the US yet, so I'm making
Mm.
connections as I
Yeah.
take on my guests.
Call on me when you come to New York City, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so sweet. I will. All right, Liz. So, introduction. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you very much for saying yes to be interviewed today. And I would love to read a bit of your introduction for our listeners today, and then we can get right into the conversation.
That's good.
So, hey everyone, we have Liz Wolfe, all right?
Correct. You did it right.
Here with us. She says, and I quote, one of the most frustrating aspects of being an entrepreneur is doing your best to do all the right things and still not seeing the success you want. She had the same frustrations when she started her business 25 years ago, and she discovered that the traditional ideas about how to succeed in business, that is working hard, be focused, manage your time well, and get to know the right people, could only take her so far. Instead, she coaches her clients to incorporate the 3 keys to an abundant business. Ask powerfully, give wholeheartedly, and receive graciously. She has a rich story which starts many years ago when her mother decided to buy a farm and by financial necessity started a cottage industry selling wool products. They knew nothing about running a business. While they did have some success. Eventually, her mother had to declare bankruptcy. After starting her own business 25 years ago, she learned everything she could about how to make it successful. From that, she created her 3-part coaching system, a clear vision, purposeful action, minusing hidden barriers to get to breakthrough results. Now, she can't go back to help her mother, so instead she's reaching to as many people as she can to let them know that they can use these principles to make their business a success. Wow, welcome, Liz. So Liz, tell us, before we go dive deep into get into business, what was it like growing up as Liz Wolfe?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think about how different my children's upbringing is from mine. They are both actually in college now or out of college. My son is out of college. And they just were here in New York City, complete polar opposite from what I was doing. I was riding my horse. I was taking care of sheep. I was shoveling manure. I was doing all the stuff on a farm that you do. And a lot of times I was very cold. We didn't have a lot of money. And it was a lot different then. You didn't have the resources that you have today. We had no social media to promote ourselves on, and we didn't have any of that. So I have 2 older sisters, and it was my mom, Dolores Wolfe, and daughters. That was
The name. The
name,
name
because
of
a
the
lot of
business.
people, so Bob Smith and Sons. Well, we were Dolores Wolfe and daughters, and it was the 4 of us on the farm. My father lived in Pittsburgh, and they were divorced, and so every weekend I would go into Pittsburgh, and we would do things like ballet lessons and go to the theater and go to the library and do fun things with my dad. But during the week we did
Labor.
hard labor.
Labor.
I don't want to say it wasn't ever fun, because it certainly was, but it was the opposite.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of opposite. Usually with the mom, it's the fun thing, and then the dad is so. Well, that brings me to the next question, Liz. So, why are you passionate about helping entrepreneurs?
Well, I really will say that I did my best when I could to help my mom. Sometimes by choice, sometimes not by choice. Really was very necessary for us all to contribute. It was, the video games didn't exist then, but if they had, we weren't playing them. There was a lot of work to do, and it was out of necessity. Of course, I was learning a lot through that as well, but I came out of that to say, just because you work really, really hard doesn't mean you'll have success. This is one of the myths that we have, which is that, well, if I work really, really hard, then,
I'm gonna
I'll be
get that
successful. Right.
millions.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to get that millions. And actually, you can work, and some people listening to this probably can relate. You can work really, really hard and still not experience success. And then the gurus come in and say, well, work smarter, not harder. And then you say, well, how do I do that? Right? Like, we don't know.
Yes,
I
that
don't
is
know.
literally my next question. Like, how do we
Yes.
do that?
Yes. How do we do that? So, and I'm sure that we're going to get to other parts of this conversation in a bit. I did attempt right out of college to open a little shop that I was selling the items from my mother's farm. I didn't do very well with it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a coach. I didn't know. I thought, oh, if I just show up every day, people will show up. So it didn't really work that way. So as you mentioned when you were introducing me, I learned through many years of being in business some of the things that I found to be very helpful. And so again, I can't go back and help my mom. That's long gone. She's passed away. The farm has been sold. It's over with. But I do feel very much like it's a dang shame that people don't get more support to that you could have a business or even in your career or whatever you decide to do, that there's a lot of ways that you can enhance that experience if you have someone to support you.
So I'm going to go back to that support thing, but my next question would be, what is the system that you share in your coaching that has that greatest impact, to have that greatest impact?
Well, as you mentioned again earlier, there's really two different areas. A lot of my coaching is based in the abundance principles, and that's where the
I like that.
asking powerfully, giving wholeheartedly, and receiving graciously. Those are the principles that you work while you're in your business. The strategy that I use is we start with creating a clear vision, which, by the way, completely aligns with asking powerfully. So when I say asking powerfully, what I mean is being very specific about what you want and being very vocal about what you want. And so to have a clear vision means you understand, if you think of an analogy where, am I going to sit in a car and just get in and start driving? I know I need to drive,
Where to where?
but where am I going?
Yeah.
Right. And, it's funny because in the old days, like in the 40s, 50s, that's not that old, but 40s, 50s, they used to just go out and take a drive. That was an entertainment for the afternoon.
That's right.
Was
That's
take
right.
a drive. Right.
Mhm.
But that's for fun and that's aimless. And that's not what we want to be doing in our business. So
Not business. To de-stress, yes, but not business.
yes, to go see some pretty countryside or whatever. And of course, cars were very novel back then, right? To even have a car was very novel. It's not so novel anymore. So you wouldn't just get in a car and say, I want to go on a really great trip. Let me just start driving, because you don't know where you'd end up. So having a clear vision and being specific about it is very important. And that's how I start with my clients, is that finding out that vision. And then that when I say ask powerfully, what I really mean is, okay, so you have this vision. Are you actually verbalizing it? Are you actually going out and asking for what you want? And that is by far the most direct way to get what you want, is to ask for it. It sounds so silly, but it's really true. We keep all these dreams and ideas and desires to ourselves. We're afraid to ask. We think it'll be rude. We don't want to have the obligation of reciprocity if that comes along. We think it's weak to ask for help, all of those things. But if you can hone that skill around asking and getting clear about that vision, then you're going to know where you're going to go.
What about giving wholeheartedly?
Okay, so the interesting thing about the ask, give, receive model, because you would say, okay, I'm going to ask for what I want, then I'm going to receive what I want, then I'm going to have plenty of abundance, and so I'm going to be able to give, right? That's the logical way.
Yeah.
So that what happens is we do ask, or we get, we're out there, we're working hard, and then it's not coming. And then we say, and this is the thing everybody says, it drives me crazy. They say, I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy, or
no, that is the essence of my podcast. You are worthy.
It's so
You are enough.
annoying because the brain makes up this idea that why I didn't get it is because I'm not worthy of it, or I'm somehow not credible enough, or I don't have the right, I'm not respected, I'm new to this. Okay, so we're going to take that out of the equation. because when you ask for what you want, it does not immediately appear. If you, I don't know if they have in Malaysia how Amazon works for you, but in the US, especially in New York City, when you click buy on Amazon, I don't go running to the door and say, "Where's my package?" 3 minutes later.
Of course, no.
Right? I have a certain expectation that it's going to take, with my Prime shipping, probably 2 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes the next day. And of course, it's getting shorter and shorter. But I don't go and stand there at the door all angry for the next 24 hours because it didn't come when I immediately. So in that space and time after we've asked for what we want, well, what are we doing if we're not receiving because it's not coming right away? What are we doing?
See where this is going. Yeah.
So the next fastest way to get what you want is to actually give what you want. So let's say you are saying, I want more clients, or even I want more money or more time. What you're doing is you're actually looking around and seeing who, let's say you want referrals from other people so you can have clients. So now I'm going to look around and say, how can I refer people to other people? Who can I give that to? So it does work with money, and you think, well, I don't have any time. What do you mean? Yeah, go volunteer, give your time. Because we all understand that basic premise of if I give love, I receive love. That, if I'm happy around people, if I'm nice to my husband, he's nice back. We all understand that concept. But for some reason, we lose faith in it when it comes to something like giving a referral or giving money or giving time. And so what it does is you can actually begin the flow of abundance, that cycle of abundance, by giving. It's a little bit like priming the pump, right? You've heard that term, pump, like let's get this started. And then it goes, and while you're busy doing that, the universe says, oh, there's some of that over here. Would you like some of that?
I'm going to direct them to you.
Right. And then that's the third part, which is the receive graciously.
It's like the flow. What you give out, you'll get back. Right? Instead of waiting, you start to initiate, and then the universe responds and you'll get them.
If you think about it, you're actually creating more of what you want in the universe. So I have a really good story about that, and we might have a moment for me
to please.
Tell you that story. Please. So I live in New York City. I live in a townhouse that I bought, and it's the first real estate that I ever purchased. I was in my 40s, I think, when I bought it. And it's a beautiful townhouse in Hamilton Heights. And so we immediately came upon agreement for the price of the townhouse, that they accepted our offer.
Right.
But the woman that owned the house, she wouldn't sign the contract for some reason. No, she was a lawyer actually in her previous life. I mean, not her previous life. I mean, in her working life, in her
past life.
In her working, she was retired.
Okay.
She didn't like the language. It just went on and on. She didn't like our bank. She didn't like any of it.
She was being fussy.
She was being so fussy, and it was so hard, and it was really, really difficult. And it was very upsetting because when one weekend we had come to an agreement on the price, but she wouldn't sign the contract. And so I was actually having a conversation with my sister. I have two sisters, and my sister Ruth Ann, and she said, hey, I figured it out what you need to do, because I'm called, how I don't know if you have sisters, but situations
younger.
Like and,
yes.
And they're the only ones that have the patience to listen to you for that long, right?
Yes.
So she was tired of it. So she came up with a solution for me. She said, I got it. You have to give house. And I said, okay, how am I going to give house? How am I going to create more house in the universe so that there's plenty of house for everybody? And so I went on to the web and I donated money to an organization called Habitat for Humanity. I don't know if you've ever heard about them, but what they do is they build houses. It's a charity that builds houses. So I went online and I donated to Habitat for Humanity. This is in the days of fax machines, which really wasn't good, but I had a fax machine sitting next to my desk. I donated that. This was Friday at 5:00. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. And 1 hour later, the fax started going off and the signed contract came through.
Oh my God, I just got the chills.
And then I was all about giving house because, it wasn't done yet, right? I was helping my mother-in-law clean out my grandfather-in-law's house. Anybody who needed any help with house, I was helping. And then the motion started going and we ended up buying it. And it was challenging. I mean, it didn't end there. It was still more. And, I'll tell you the story sometime. But that was a really very direct example that I had of if I give something, it creates more of it in the universe, which creates the space for me to have what I want.
Wow. So it's like, I know, because I'm thinking right now, because I also left. I left. Not technically, I'm on my sabbatical. So I'm leaving my 9 to 5 to do a full-time therapy and coaching business. And therefore,
Right.
this is why I am speaking to a lot of coaches, because I really want to learn from their own experiences. And now you're saying, because I used to worry before, like, how am I going to get clients and whatnot? Part of it, I've set my at least my mindset to 50. Okay, you can have the strategy or the avenues that you want to market, but at the same time, 50% of it, you just got to let it flow, let go and let God. And now you're telling me that's a golden nugget right there. If I want to get referrals or if I don't want to get clients, I need to get my acquaintances or the people, the connections that I have right now to, give out what you want for you to get back. Same like money, right? If we want X amount, you don't need to. I mean, again, I also believe in the art of, no expectations. Like, you have to detach if we're going to go into the law of attraction and whatnot.
That's right.
But I think that's a good way. And also, I feel that the intention matters. And the intention, yeah, if you intend to, good intent, assume good intent, not like, oh, I'm doing this because I want that. And it's kind of, it's going to tip the balance. And
Yeah, well, it is tricky. It is tricky because you brought up the law of attraction. It's confusing. It's actually very confusing. And that's why I have identified these 3 parts, the ask, give, receive, because you can always fall back to, well, how can I ask right now? Where can I give? And how can I receive? And by the way, receiving is one of the hardest things that we have to do.
Yes.
And I know everybody says, oh no, I just really want a lot. I want money. I want clients. But first of all, it can be very overwhelming. And let me say this also, we are not skilled at receiving. We're very
Yes, Liz.
conditional receivers.
I can vouch. Me. Not even, I mean, in terms of money, in terms of, okay, now we're getting personal relationship, the type of person that you're looking for and type of love they're giving, because you used to, for example, one example is that if you're so used to trauma in relationship, when somebody is right, somebody that is perfect for you, doing all the right things, men or women alike, male, female, all the pronouns, when they start doing the right thing, they'll be like, this is weird. What is this emotion that I'm feeling? Like, it's almost saying that, or if not, it is saying that I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough to receive this. Do I deserve all of this? Right. And this is some of the things that I try to, it's just in the back of my head. But as I move towards in the different aspects of my life, so I try to balance and think about all, some of the times. Not all the time.
May I ask you a question?
Oh, go for it. Oh no.
Well, I have a lot of curiosity around the worthiness and the deserving thing. And my philosophy, I don't know you very well at all yet, so we're going to find out. My philosophy may be different than yours about this. I know that a lot of time we spend is about sort of building ourselves up to experiencing and feeling like we are worthy. And so I'm curious what your take on that is as far as its usefulness. Yeah.
I used to think that way, where I tie my achievements, I tie my self-worth or who I am based on my academic achievements, my accolades, the status that I have attained in my career, and the type of things that I own and possess, until I hit rock bottom. Before 30, I got married, I got divorced 2 years after, and I was in a very highly toxic working environment. And then that's when I figured out I had to lose myself to find myself again. And I mean, a lot of things happened in between. It took me 4 years, right now counting, maybe the 5th year, to realize that actually in of itself, each one of us is already worthy because we matter. We are a matter here, a matter. Like, matter, right? We take up space. Yeah, we take up space. So that itself is matter. And therefore, you are worthy to be here, even though you have, I don't know, you're born with disabilities, but that doesn't diminish your, how do I say this? Your matter here on 3D plane, right? And I try to again come back to what is your worth, and I try to strip all of that and who am I, what am I? And I have come to the conclusion that, at least for me right now, I'm still developing it, that we all, number one, we all matter. Number two, we are all connected. We come from the divine source, the same source, and we are creators. We co-create. So it's really all the social societal conditioning, that's the layers that's add into it. And then again, if I were to bring back, we are all light beings here, and we're just put in this meat suit to experience human experiences. To be honest, that's why if you want to go do something, just go do it. Because 80 years lifespan, or I don't know, depending on technological advancements, plus years, you're gonna go. So give it your best shot. And the baseline is you are worthy. You are enough to do all of those things. Sorry, I don't know if I did answer that.
I'm just writing a couple notes so I can remember to go back. So I find this conversation very interesting, and I certainly don't want to derail your beautiful podcast with my, difference. I don't even know if it's a difference of opinion, but this is okay, you said worthy. You said I matter, I'm worthy, I deserve, and I have no idea what the heck that says. Okay, so I'm just going to cross it out. So they're all kind of the same ball of wax. I deserve them. If you think about it, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a fact. I am alive. Now, I would never stand in front of a mirror and repeat to myself, I'm alive, to try to convince myself that I am alive. That would be like, what? I guess you could sort of internalize that or something, but you're never doubting that you're alive.
Yes.
Okay. And I totally get what you're saying. If I am physical matter, and it's just kind of cool that the word I matter and I am matter really are the same word, even if they mean something slightly different. So to say I matter, you might stand in front of, and people do, a mirror and say, and I matter. You might stand in front of a mirror and say, and I am worthy. And you might stand in front of a mirror and try to convince yourself, I deserve it. So I'm going to take the deserve one first. I discourage people from standing in front of mirrors to try to convince yourself that you're any of those things. But one of the things I don't like about the I deserve it argument is it's a justification.
Yeah.
To say
because somehow within you don't believe that you deserve it, and therefore you have to say it. Yeah.
Right. You have to say it, but what you're really doing is justifying it. And what I think is important to know is you don't have to justify mattering.
You just need to be.
Why are we justifying that? Okay.
Yes.
And the same thing is true, not quite so much, but with the whole worthy thing. I am worthy is I'm saying to the world, I'm justifying. And there's a saying called JADE, JADE, and you don't have to justify, argue, defend, or explain your existence. You don't have to do that. You just are. So I will say one other thing about this, especially in working with entrepreneurs, because if you don't think people should buy whatever you're selling and you're trying to convince
they're not going to buy.
But if you're trying to convince people, well, I'm worthy and I deserve it. I'm just letting everybody out there know that nobody is buying your product because you deserve it. They're buying your product because you're solving a problem for them. They don't actually care about you at all, to be honest. They don't care if you deserve it or not. And we can all think of people that we either know or know of who are very successful and or have a lot of money or have a lot of whatever we want that we do not think deserve it or are worthy of it. I play a lot of music, and there's a lot of, conversation out there about she's not that good kind of thing. Oh, yeah? So why does she doesn't deserve that record contract? Okay, but she has it. So clearly it has nothing to do with deserving or worthiness. So I just like to have people stay away from this idea that they have to justify, that they need those concepts as a way to justify that. And because, and we just go back to the receiving part again, one of the reasons we don't receive is because we are critical of how much we think we're worthy of receiving them. And so we tend to justify, and so we don't. We're very bad at receiving. I'll include myself in that because I've been practicing it for years. But if I was better at receiving, guess what I'm not good at? I'm not good at receiving $1 billion.
Ooh,
And you know how I know
somehow that's in my train of thought just now.
Right. You know
I
how I
just
know
said
that? I don't have it. But Jeff
that's
Bezos
a good one.
is very good at receiving $1 billion because he has multiples of billions of dollars.
Ooh, you
Multiple.
just that's a good.
Does he deserve it more than I do? I don't think so. I think he's just better at receiving it.
Oh, you touch a very, very good point. Okay, I want to go back to how should someone receive graciously? Let's dive into that, Liz.
Well, first of all, as I was mentioning, it's receiving unconditionally rather than conditionally. So, as a very simple example, if somebody says, "Oh, Liz, I love that necklace," I don't say, "Oh, this old thing," or "Oh gosh, I've had that for years," or whatever.
This is gonna resonate so many people. Yeah.
The graciously part of receive graciously is the gratitude part. It's where someone says, "Oh, Liz, I love your necklace." I would say, "Oh, thank you." Now, I'm allowed to add a little something like, by the way, you know, I made it myself. This is a clip-on earring, and I just thought I got clever one day and I put it in there. But I don't want to say, oh, I didn't buy it this way. You know, do you see how we like receiving compliments? Another thing that we don't receive very conditionally is money, even though we all say we want it. Someone offers me money, I say yes. So if I drive somebody to, you know, I don't know, if I'm driving somewhere and I'm giving somebody a ride and they offer me money for gas, I say yes. I don't say no. It's okay. I'm fine. No, it's my. If someone wants to buy me dinner, I say yes. If, you know, there's certain situations. So my friends know this so that when I have you know, the opportunity, let's say, to go out for my birthday or something, and they're taking me out and they say, "Can I buy?" And I say, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yeah. And they all say to me, "It's so nice because I don't have to argue with you to get you to receive my gift."
Ooh, I love that. I don't need to argue you because you're exerting energy saying, "Oh no, I'm going through this route anyway. I'll get there myself." And
Right. Yes. I mean, obviously, I'm generous also, right? I mean, if I say, I'm not saying I, you know, act like demand money from people. I'm just saying that when people offer me or if they're doing something nice for me or help. So it goes with the asking, right? I can ask, but then I have to be willing to receive as well. We are very conditional in how we receive. And if you start to notice that, you will see. And one of the reasons why we are conditional is because we only want things how we want them.
We expect it to be delivered or handed over to us in a certain way. But when the universe or the divine has so much better, the plans are much better than yours, then we get, oh my God, what is this? What am I gonna do? Okay, let's go back to that $1 billion. Let's say we have that 1 billion. Imagine, like I same as you, I thought about it. That's like I envision myself. So say I have this. Somehow I don't know how this 1 billion comes to me. I don't know what, however form. How am I gonna feel at that during that moment? Am I gonna be elated, grateful, or am I going to be scared that it's gonna run out, or are you going to start strategizing where you're going to invest, what are you going to pay off and whatnot, right? It's
Well, first of all, we know that, and again, I don't know what it's like in Kuala Lumpur, but I can tell you that in the United States, when people win the lottery, for the most part, they go bankrupt or doesn't
2 years
work out.
Yeah.
And the people that do well with winning any kind of prize money are people that already were doing well. But the irony is that the people that buy lottery tickets think that they're going to they're going to get this money and it's going to solve all their money problems. But actually, if they have money problems, it's because they have money problems. And money does not solve money problems.
Exactly. It is just a tool. It's a tool, and really it's energy. And also I want to add to that, like money just amplifies who you are. So if you're already good with money, you're just going to be better with managing that much money. And if you're already bad with money, it's just going to amplify that. You Yeah.
I read one time, I thought it was so great. She said, okay, if you play the lottery, quoting this, that the people that do well with lottery winnings are people that have financial advisors. So she said, so get yourself a financial advisor. Now, she said, probably never going to win the lottery. But if you get a financial advisor to help you manage your money now, and you ever did win the lottery, you'd be better off. But if you don't win the lottery, you're still going to have the benefit of managing your money well. And again, you're probably not going to win the lottery. So manage your money.
To add to that, right? It's like having a financial advisor with whether you're expecting to win the lottery or not. It's opening up space because you're already asking somebody to open up space to the universe to say, okay, I have all of my ducks in a row right now. I am ready to receive that 1 million. Bring it on. Right?
Yes, because it has a. Okay, and that's the other thing about this is that about receiving is that actually we are not equipped to receive a lot of money, and not just because of the financial advisor, but you hear so many stories, not just lottery winners, but sports people like football players or people that get these really big contracts.
Right.
And they can't manage their money. They get all this money during their contract and they end up broke at the end. Even rock stars and people like that who receive a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what we need to be doing is expanding the context of our receivability now. And that means really practicing saying yes, receiving. A lot of us have what we call an even Steven kind of a thing. We receive money. Let's not talk about $1 billion. Most of us aren't going to be receiving $1 billion, but $5 comes in and you're like, $5, and then you turn around and your car breaks down. And now you have to spend the $500 and it's $4 to fix your car. Right? So you brought it in, but you didn't have that context of receivability. So it needs to find a place to go, and it's going to go right into your car. Because, your washing machine will break or whatever it is, it's going to happen. So what we're looking to do is expand that context of receivability so that we have more money than is going out with things. And obviously, I want you to have the money in the bank to pay for things when they occur. I want you to have enough money in the bank to put a down payment on a house. I want you to have enough money in the bank to go on a trip and not use credit cards. I want you to be able to do that so that you have that expanded context so that you're just ready to receive more money.
Can we backtrack a bit, Liz? Just now you were saying about expanding the receiving part. So how should one? Okay, so let's say, because when you talking about the money, 500 is going to the car, and I'm like, damn, that was how I was operating before. And then I'm like, so how should one expand their receivability context? What you were saying just now.
Yeah. Well, one way is to practice in simple ways and the more you ask, the more you will receive. So we're starting with asking, and there will be more. So even asking for help, asking for, as I mentioned, I do a lot of music and I run these little music jams in the city. And one of the things when you go to a venue, you have to move the chairs around, And I always go early because I like it to be how I want it to be. But at the end of the evening, people are hanging around and now I'm dragging the chairs back. People will say, do you want some help with that? And I can do it myself. And frankly, sometimes it's actually easier to do it by yourself because now I have to tell you where to do it and you're not going to do it right. And, blah. But if I don't say yes in that moment, they're all going to go home. And guess who's going to be there for another 20 minutes moving chairs?
You.
So yeah, by myself. While my husband's at home wondering where the heck I am. So that's an example of, even though I know I can do it myself, if I just say yes, then they'll help me move it. And, it's not that horrible. They're adults, they can take direction, and I can, tell them what to do. So that and money, receiving help, receiving compliments. And also the other thing is that part of the receivability is noticing where the leaks are. So I don't know if you have any houseplants, but I'm not a great houseplant person, even though I grew up on a farm, I'm not a great houseplant.
The plants. Okay. No, right now. No, I don't.
No. So if you don't water a plant, the soil gets very dry. And if you pour water into it, it actually flows right out. Goes right out because the soil is not moist. It's like a sponge. Sponges absorb more water when they're slightly damp than when they are completely dry and you try to, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're keeping the context damp a little bit so that when things pour in, it doesn't just pour right out again.
I mean, we can always start that with accepting compliments and being
Compliment.
grateful. Yeah.
Gift, gratitude. That's right. You can practice receiving things you already have. You can just by reflecting on gratitude for them.
I love that. Thank you so much, Liz. Yeah, this is the kind of topic that I like to go. We were talking about business and now we drifted to spirituality and all those things. I love that. So, Liz, why do you think so many people struggle to start or grow their businesses? Is it because they're not good in receiving?
A lot of times it's because they're not good at asking.
Okay.
That's for sure. Like sales is all about asking.
Really?
It's about asking for somebody to give you money. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? That's what sales is. It's saying, I'm going to be offering, this is my product or service, and are you ready to buy?
Simple.
But if you don't ask that, a lot of us do something like, so, let's say I'm on a call with somebody. So what do you think? I mean, this is the problem with social media. It's hard to make a direct ask promoting your business on social media because you don't want to seem salesy. But if you don't make any direct asks, or what we would call coaching
Call to
action, right? You don't make any calls to action, then they won't know what to do and they won't
Don't
ever
click off. They'll get diverted to something else and okay.
Yeah. So asking, starting with that idea of asking. And of course, I'm going to say hire a coach because coaches are a person that is a neutral person who can support you by reflecting back to you, asking relevant questions about what's important to you. And then in reflecting it back to you, comes through in a different way. So you're able to make better choices, take clearer action for sure. Coaches, but hire a coach.
I love that. Thank you. What would you say is most helpful to people when they feel stuck up?
Yeah. So we talked about earlier the law of attraction, and what people get very frustrated with the law of attraction and trying to run their business from that spiritual place or even their lives, because they say, oh, it doesn't work. Like, oh, I was just being so ready to receive and it didn't come. Because what we never talk about is the law of resistance, which is also a law. The law of resistance is an actual real physics law, just like the law of attraction is. This is not a foo-foo-y thing that somebody made up. Magnets, our earth is one ginormous magnet, okay? So an object in motion stays in motion, but an object at rest will also stay at rest unless given an external force. So that's largely what procrastination is resistance. And resistance is when you feel stuck. The best question to ask yourself is, I feel stuck. So what is it that I'm resisting right now? What is it that I feel is getting in my way? You can go back. I should work harder, or I need to study more, get more credentials, or go to more networking events, right? But you'll still feel stuck because you're not focused on or understanding what it is that you're resisting that's keeping you feeling stuck. And so if you ever are like, I just don't feel like doing it, I just don't feel like doing it, or you just have resistance. I had an envelope on my desk for, I don't know, a week that I didn't want to open because I knew it was a bill. And I was like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to know how much it is. And then I just said, gosh, that's silly. I'm resisting something that's real. Like, it's in front of me. I can't avoid it. I have to open that and pay that bill or suffer other consequences. It's not a big deal. It's like a couple $100. It's not even a big deal. But I could tell you, and the bill itself is actually not mine personally, but I'm the treasurer for my block association. So out of the corner of my eye, the whole time it's sitting there, not only am I not paying the bill, but I'm resisting the responsibility of being the treasurer for the block association because it's harder work than I thought it was going to be. And frankly, it's not that much fun. And I'm the only one that volunteered to do it. I kind of really don't want to do it. So you see how it's not just about opening the envelope and paying the bill.
The thing that comes with it.
It's like all those thoughts. Yeah. And then, and am I a bad? Am I a bad
then you start
treasurer?
doubting whether
I screwed up last year. I've did something with the taxes that wasn't
Yeah, this
right.
is
I'm not
why
even a math person. Like, I hated math in the 5th grade. Like,
exactly. Oh, why? It's like going that rabbit
it's a piece of
hole.
paper on my desk.
God, yeah.
Like, all that went
Oh.
along with a piece of paper on my desk.
And then suddenly you're blaming yourself
Yeah.
because you're not good at math in your 5th grade.
Right. And I've time traveled from the 5th grade to now. Like,
To
what
now,
the heck?
yeah.
Right. Right.
And then that's only gonna mess with your head and how you feel about yourself. And like, again,
What am I doing after that? What's on Netflix, you know? Or
yes.
what am I, right? Like, what am I going to do that? Oh, and my thing is like, where's the chocolate? You know, I just want to make myself
Right.
feel better temporarily.
Yeah, like
Where's the chocolate?
to me, be honest, when I go down that road, that path, I'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna take any calls today. I am going to sit on my couch just like that and ponder about life. Why am I doing this? Why am I?
Right.
You should have just stuck with your job, Nicolette. Like, why are you talking
Right.
to people? Why are you
Yeah.
starting your
Oh,
business?
yeah. Little voice in your head. What are you doing? You should have stuck with your job. You're not making any money doing this.
Exactly.
Who's
And
gonna
this
hire
is gonna
you?
exactly.
You're not worthy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, hands down. That's but it's good to be able to talk about this right now. Like it's here. So you know. Oh, thank you so much, Liz. So what is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, I am working on and getting out to the world a very fun quiz that I did. I have written it's a how to discover your CEO leadership style. There are 4 styles. You might be a chief enthusiast officer, you might be a chief expert officer, chief empowerment officer, or a chief expert excellence. Yes, the 4 are enthusiasm, empowerment, excellence, and expert. And so I have this fun quiz that you can take. And one of the reasons why I created that quiz is because it helps you to figure out what it is that you're really good at and what it is that you're not so good at. And those are the times when you feel stuck. So I certainly quiz. It's just recently been published. If you go to my website, which is Liz Wolfe coaching/quiz, you'll take that. That's Wolf with an E. And so, yes, that's a very exciting thing that I'm working on right now and getting that out to as many people as possible because it's short, it's fun, but it's really valuable. I put a lot of work into helping you to determine when you feel stuck. Why do you feel stuck? What voice is telling you in your head you should be better at this and you shouldn't be better at it because you're a chief enthusiasm officer, whatever it is. So I invite everyone who wants to take that to take it.
Can you share like a one-liner for each of the quadrant, each of the personality?
Chief enthusiasm officers are very creative, jump from thing to thing, and never feel like they can ever finish anything, but they're fabulous at coming up with ideas. Chief empowerment officers are super loving, caring, supportive people who at the end of the day don't have time for themselves because they spent the whole time worrying and thinking about other people. Chief excellence officers are very good at organization and they like to take control. I have a little bit of chief excellence officer in me, which would be the thing that would have me not ask for help putting those chairs back because they have to be right. I don't want them to be
want it done
back
my
in
way.
the right way, which is filthy because they're going to come along and change them anyway. So a chief excellence officer has very high standards while at the same time getting caught up in too much nitty gritty. And a chief expert officer is somebody who is analytical and so very helpful to have as a partner for thinking through things and logically very deliberate, but can get very lost in overanalyzing. What do they call it?
Analysis by paralysis.
I forget the phrase.
Yeah.
Yes, analysis paralysis, right. You know, they get too stuck in the analysis
You don't do
part,
anything,
and
so
then
you
they are
just
not
sit on the
taking
couch
action.
then. Oh. Just like me
Yes,
at
then you
times.
don't do anything and you just sit on the couch. That's right. You don't do anything, you just sit on that's analysis. What are you doing? Why are you not working on your business? Maybe I should have stayed where I was.
Is it too late to retract my resignation letter?
Yes, you can see how that definitely does. And actually, the enthusiasm officer and the expert officers are in opposite quadrants, where the enthusiasm officer will be like, let's do it. Let's get in the car and drive. And the chief analyst officer,
How long is it going to take us there? What do we need to think
That's
about?
right.
What are the risks?
Did we pack a lunch?
Yes.
Right. And the
So is that?
empowerment officer, you can imagine a car ride with the four of them, right? The
I
expert
know.
officer,
I
the
know.
enthusiasm. Let's
Let's
go.
go here.
Let's just
Let's
start
stop
driving.
here.
And the empowerment officer is like, well, did everybody pack?
Yeah.
Does everybody have it? Do you have your lunch? I brought lunch for you. And the excellence officer is like,
Looking at
well,
the
let's
map.
put everything into the GPS.
Yes.
And they,
Exactly.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's really great.
So
Really
can I say
great.
is like, are we supposed to go like? Are you supposed to be balanced in that? For is it the whole goal is to be balanced? What's the?
That's a great question. I mean, certainly as I have developed my business skills through the years, I used to be way more on the side of chief enthusiasm officer. And so, everybody has a little bit of every of it. I'm also a very compassionate person, etc. So
Yeah.
yes, I would say you're looking for what the positive aspects of each one are, but I don't
Mhm.
want you to lose what's valuable about your natural tendencies,
Oh, I
which
love that.
is to
Yeah.
share your joy in the way that, in the way that you like to share your joy. So, but certainly something can be learned from all four quadrants.
Yeah, you're getting to know yourself. Okay, Liz, thank you so much. I have four more questions for you. I hope I'm not taking your time. Okay.
Great.
Okay, we're gonna pivot to a self-worth question. So the question for you, Liz, is how do childhood experiences and upbringing impact an individual's sense of self-worth and their ability to engage in self-discovery later in life?
Well, certainly a lot of us have self-worth issues because when you're a child, adults are authorities. Whether you are a rebel or not, you're thinking, you believe and trust your parents, your teachers. You're taught to believe that. And so as a result, you end up with hearing their words as truth. And many times their words are not supportive, or they're supportive from their perspective, but not from your perspective. Like, let's say you do have entrepreneurial leanings and your parent cares about you so much that they say, but if you quit your job, what's going to happen? Blah, 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 right? And so they're not really supporting you. And so all they're doing is instilling more doubt, and you should go get a job. And what are you doing messing around with this? Yes. For example, as I mentioned, do a lot of music, and I'm a singer, and a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't know how to sing. I can't sing. And I always ask them, why don't you think you can sing? And it's always because someone else told them they weren't good at singing.
Oh,
Whether it's their music teacher, their parent, their sisters and brothers, people tell them they're not good at it, which is really dumb because singing is actually a learned skill. Even if some people have more natural tendencies for talent for it, you can learn how to sing.
yeah.
So it's when authority tells you that you're not worthy, you listen to them. So stop listening to them.
I love that. And often it's their insecurities because they know they can't sing and it's projecting back onto you and they're insecure.
That's right. Yeah. My father worked for Westinghouse for 47 years or 43 years. Okay. That's the same job. 43 years, one job. He's obviously
With
not
one
trying to be an
company?
entrepreneur. One company, one job. He was an engineer with Westinghouse for 43 years, which is why he has a pension now, which I'm very grateful for. But it is true that he would not have been a good person to ask about entrepreneurial ventures because he's not an entrepreneur.
Thank you, Liz, for sharing. What is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish? Am I allowed to say, is my husband nearby? My heart's greatest wish right now is, my fantasy is I have an RV and I want to get in that RV and I just basically want to drive around the country and go to bluegrass festivals. That's what I want to do.
Is it a music festival?
Yes, music, bluegrass.
Right, bluegrass. Okay.
I don't know if that's my biggest fantasy. I don't know if it's my hard wish, but
what's stopping you from driving that RV?
I told you, my husband, he's sitting right in the next room. What am I going to do? He doesn't want to go. I'm married, for crying out loud.
Maybe this will prompt him. Maybe he'll have a change of heart after this episode.
But it is, that's a really good example of how we might not take action on something. So I do have an RV and I do go to festivals in the summer. And so it isn't like I don't do that. It's not at the scale at which I would do it if I was completely independent. And that's the facts. Facts are I made a choice. I made a choice to get married, and I adore my husband, to live in a townhouse which has a mortgage. I got a mortgage here. I have a business, right? So there's things that I chose that are, quote, keeping me. So I can't be resentful of any of those things. I have to embrace that I chose them. I still can get out and play a lot of good music.
Yeah, well, I hope you get to do that. Bluegrass, right? Bluegrass. Okay.
Bluegrass. Yeah, look it up.
Bluegrass. I will, because the only ones that I've heard of is a few, like Coachella and all those things. But yeah, that's okay. We'll look it up. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I have a mantra that I live by. There's plenty for everyone, including me.
There's enough cake for everyone.
There's always
yeah.
There's
Yes.
There's plenty for everyone, including me. Because it's one thing to have this idea there's plenty for everybody, like, oh, but I'm often not including myself in that.
Again, the
So
receiving.
it's okay to say including. Right.
Again, it's the receiving. Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night, or do you sleep well?
Oh, I'm a terrible sleeper. I am always waking up. Every night I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and then sometimes I can get back to sleep and sometimes I cannot. And when I can't, I just give in and I get up. I come, because I live and work in the same place. I come downstairs. Our steps are very, very creaky because this is a house. So I tiptoe down the steps. And then once I get down here, I close the door and I just work for a couple hours. And it's just, I always have something to do. I think in some ways that's a farm training. But there's always something to do on a farm. When during the pandemic, people were saying they were bored.
Yeah.
I could not understand that. There was nothing about that.
So you're that portion. It's like, I don't get it. There's so much things to do.
I was like, don't you have a closet to clean out? I have so many things that I could do right now if I wasn't working. So many things I could be doing. And idea, and that's the chief enthusiasm officer, right? And ideas that I'm working on and different things. Like if I think about, would I retire? What would I do? And I'd be like, I would do the same thing. I'm not doing anything differently. So what keeps me up at night is thinking about all these ideas and thoughts and things I want to do. And then I come down and then sometimes I go back to sleep. I go back up, give myself a couple more hours.
Well, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Last question, Liz. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening, and the world is your legacy, what would it be?
If I could create a quote?
Yes.
Wow, that's a question that might have needed some preparation. Well, can't I leave you with the same quote of there's plenty for everyone, including me? That's a quote that I made up. So there's plenty of abundance for everyone, including me. And that's where I would have you have that mantra and live in that space. It's not my quote, but another one that I really love is by Wayne Dyer. He's no longer with us, but he's another guru guy. And he said, abundance is not what you acquire. It is what you tune into. And so if you're tuned into abundance is when you have that experience. There is plenty for everyone, including me.
I love that. A guest quoted the same thing. And it's just, I guess it's the universe saying, Nicolette, abundance is what you tune into. You don't have to justify it because you're already abundant.
That's right. You do not have to justify it. You're already abundant.
I love that.
And you can have it whether you deserve it or not.
Yes.
So there.
What a way to wrap up our conversation. I love it. We wrap it up beautifully. Thank you so much, Liz, for your time and this engaging conversation. I had so much fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. It really was. I do a few podcasts and I always enjoy these types of conversations because they're really thought-provoking. So thank you for that, really.
Thank you so much. You're doing great work and I wish you all the best in your endeavors and in your life, your long-filled life. And if I do come to visit New York City.
New York City?
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Definitely. Thank you, Liz. You have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.